1st, 1933, PL 103, number 69, as amended, known as the Second Class Township Code. Whereas the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code Act of 1968, PL 805, number 247, as reenacted and amended, states, Section 607, preparation of proposed zoning ordinance. A, the text and map of the proposed zoning ordinance, as well as all necessary studies and surveys preliminary thereto, shall be prepared by the planning agency of each municipality upon request by the governing body. Whereas the Board of Supervisors of Donegal Township designates the Donegal Township Planning Commission as the planning agency of Donegal Township. Now, therefore, the Board of Supervisors of the Township of Donegal hereby resolves as follows. That the Donegal Township Planning Commission shall act in accordance with Section 607 of the Pennsylvania Municipal Planning Code in preparing the text and map of a proposed zoning ordinance and conduct at least one public meeting prior to presenting the plan and recommendation to the Board of Supervisors. That any prior resolution of this board inconsistent with this resolution is hereby repealed. Adopted by the Board of Supervisors of Donegal Township this 12th day of October 2016. Board of Supervisors of Donegal Township, David Ely, Chairman, Douglas Teagarden, Vice Chairman, Zach Prescott, Supervisor.
Any comments? Okay, so that is received.
We want to hear.
We'll-
That's what we want to hear.
Okay, so with that received and acknowledged and read, I want to move back to the very ending of our last meeting where the topic of information to the public, surveys and what have you. No. There's no vote required on receiving that. I mean, we've read it, we've met it, read it. All right, so we pretty much, one of the main topics that we ended with last meeting was public information relating to a survey. And what I want to propose here now tonight is a proposal we have, very simply, a one-sentence survey. Are you in favor of zoning? A yes and a no answer. That could be, set up just that simply. Check the box and the information be on as far as who's getting it and make sure we get back to the right information and so forth. But would someone at least bring it up? We can discuss it.
How would you do that?
Well, we can discuss that, but what I'd like is a motion that we at least bring it up for discussion and a vote, one way or the other, that we do a one statement, one question survey. In reference to the zoning. We have the motion, we have a second, we'll have a discussion, and then we will vote as a commission. I mean, it's,
I say we should have the vote as commission, yeah, let's go for it.
all right, well then, would someone present a motion and a second?
I present.
That we would have
We
a
will have.
single question survey
Yes,
with a yes or no answer,
yes. Let's
in
get it
reference
on
to
the table.
doing
right now.
zoning or not.
Yes.
All right, do I have a second?
I second it.
All right. So we have a motion and a second. Now, as far as the motion goes, I would like to hear from the commission here as far as any comments, suggestions, before moving on to a vote.
I'll be first to go. I'm against doing the survey for the following reason. First of all, there's like 800 residents here in the township who would be sending the survey to. The cost of that survey in one direction is $800. With this type of survey, you not only have to send it out, but you also have to put a return envelope, pre-stamp, pre-address to come back with the ballot, another $800. So we're talking about an investment of $1,600 to get this done. And with what I've seen spent so far, trying to get this planning and zoning thing through, I think it's a waste of money. I do not believe that it would pass. I don't believe the majority of the residents of Donegal Township are against planning and zoning. I think they realize this is something that we need to do, something that is accepted, throughout the state. There's many, many benefits to going through with it.
Well, my thought about the zoning is, the fact is, to increase revenue in the community of the township. Right there, that, right there is kind of like the ball wax. Revenue for this township, to move on and ahead on progress. The biggest thing is for the community to know what it's all about, the do's and don'ts, the up and downs of it, which, how long now you've been hearing this? You question it, you knocked a lot of things out, did quite well. And it's what I see, what I've written down here, what I saw, that you did quite well. You did real well, took a lot of stuff out of there, I'll say it Italian way, it was garbage. But the bottom line for the committee, for zoning, is the fact you have a strong planning commission. And I said to you the last meeting that you gotta give us a chance. We have to learn, there's so much about the planning part. Now, anybody can come in a community like here and put up houses, put up barns, regulation on water, regulation on sewerage, road conditions, that's fine. But when it comes to the heavy construction, wants to come in here, heavy buildings, goes under different building codes, federal codes, federal restrictions, that you have to have a strong planning commission, people know what they're looking at, what they're thinking of, and what area and who they're gonna be affecting. And that's very important. A lot of things that you got upset with Caroline is the fact that it was just like a bunch of papers thrown here to read you all, and it sort of sparked you the wrong way. But what happened, you got rid of a lot of stuff that make totally sense for this area. So, but I've been here for 5 years, and about the only thing about the Planning Commission did is new housing, add a house on the property, family properties being discussed with, and that was fine. Well, believe me, I'm not trying to be an idiot here. There are some industry want to come in here, okay? And the fact is, they don't understand about personal feelings about people's properties. They just like to come in here, talk to the supervisors, talk to the planning people, and say, look, this is what we want to do here. So that's why and they're not going to put the rules over the eyes of me or us. So this is why we're trying to get this planning commission in our heads, the proper way of doing it. But the zoning pushes it to the next level. And we're trying to do that. You need the zoning to protect community people in this township. You really do. You need protection.
This
is just for us right now.
I know.
Okay.
I understand that. I'll be quiet.
Jerry,
When,
Tony, you done or not?
yeah, don't get mad at me, brother. Let me just throw it out there, okay? Just bear with me. I'm close to the door. I can run a little bit. A lot of the zoning rules, you can block me.
Look at what the.
I've got a big doorman.
Yeah, okay.
Sergeant at Arms.
I'm Sergeant at Arms.
Put you down.
I'm Sergeant at Arms of 30 American Legion Club. Let me throw this out there, okay? And don't beat me up. And talk civil here, okay? A lot of, I've told you this before in a roundabout way. Once this gets established, understandable, the zoning is not for everybody. The zoning is not going to even interfere with a lot of people's properties or what's going on. The zoning is just for areas where you have a subtle, a big area of usage that opens it up. It's not hurting the audience, it's really not. And that's why you gotta trust us to keep it that way. I'm serious, it really not gonna hurt the audience. It might be like next door.
We don't want it
is-
to hurt any of us.
No, it's not going to, it shouldn't hurt you because you're just looking at zoning, but you're, no, I understand what you're getting at, but you're not looking at our experience. What's the matter? Did I say something
No,
wrong?
good.
Oh. Did I say something wrong? I do
No.
usually do. Oh. So, but there's an audience that have business that you like to grow. That's where you have to respect the zoning. If you're in business, it helps you, it allows you to do, you know, under regulations that we will tell you about, what you can do. Not what you can't do, what you can do.
They go together.
All right,
That's what I'm saying.
Tony, are you done? This was kind of more of a motion
The server.
survey, not,
Well, that's surveying me.
Jody.
I never think public input hurts in any capacity. My only concern will be the logistics and how we do it. Who's going to do it and who's going to fund it.
I'll fund the $1,600.
I will too.
We'll pay for it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How
because
about
the zoning,
that? Now throw it out.
if it doesn't go through, the only question that I had, you said it was gonna be $800 to,
One way.
to send it one way,
Do bulk mail.
to do a bulk mail. That's a lot of money. I don't think it would be that much, but even if it was, and it was voted down, okay? Not saying it's gonna be, it could go through. I mean, there's things with zoning that are good. But if it doesn't, how much more money would you have wasted over trying to make the zoning work as zoning if nobody wanted it, if it voted dead? So that's the only question that I had for you, Lee, because the way that you made that statement, it was gonna cost us more money to do that than what it was worth. Well, the worth would be what it would cost us to redo the zoning. Okay, if you think that's gonna be less than 800, then
I don't want to even stand, I'm not accepting the 800 from Lee or any discussion on cost right now. I talked myself when I wanted to propose a single question on a piece of paper that could be tri-folded and
Right.
sent very cheaply.
No
And
postcard like we suggested.
so,
Don't forget you have to get that vote.
I don't, yeah, but I don't want to argue about how much it's gonna cost. I talked to the ladies in the office. If it was kept simple, could it be done, who would do it, whatever. And if it is that simple as has been proposed, a single question with a yes or no for a response, they felt that could be handled. Because when I first brought it, they said, well, if it's 3 or 4 pages and this, I said, no, we need a simple yes or no on a single question. And that's what this proposal, the survey that I proposed, that was presented as a motion and seconded, that's really the topic here right now, not the whole body of zoning.
How many
Well, I'll
homes?
third it.
How many homes are there? 800?
There's 800 residents you have to say to.
I mail all the time.
There's 30, there's almost 3,000 people, but that's every man, woman, and child.
Right, every home, 800 homes, you're talking $800. That's a fair, both ways. 50
No,
cents
it's one
each
way.
No.
Hey, that'd be high, I'm being high, because you're talking cost of a stamp way
but
back.
Keith said it wasn't about the money.
That doesn't matter anyway, if if someone's
Actually, you got
paying
people
for
to
it.
pay
it
for it.
doesn't
Well,
matter.
irregardless, if you look at it from the perspective of what this has cost us, we've already wasted over $25,000. This should have been done first.
Before,
And
That
it's a
we've
small
already given-
token.
yeah, we already-
We can't
right.
fix what's happened.
Right.
We just go forward.
Any thoughts or comments on the survey
It was
itself?
Jody now? I'm still on her news.
All right, you done or you want more?
Nope, that's all I have.
I agree with Jody as far as getting the information. I may question how the survey would go. I question the cost. But if it's a consensus, I would probably go along with it. I don't know how you're gonna mail a letter out. You're probably only gonna get 10% back, I'm thinking. I'm thinking you're probably gonna, I could be wrong.
Well, no, that's a legitimate comment. I mean, there's no, I don't know if there's ever been a survey sent anywhere, any day, where you had 100% response, any.
When I spoke to Larry Spar at the Board of Elections, his recommendation was to mail it out and have it returned on a specific day for a certain amount of hours, like it would be like an election. That and have a representative, so that there's no, oh, we got one in for, we don't want zoning, so we throw that one in the garbage can. He recommended it be put into a box on a day, and then it'd be opened by, say, a resident of the citizen and a township supervisor, or, that was, you remember that, Darren? We sat there and talked to him for 2.5 hours. Just putting it out there.
Well,
And that's the Board of Election, he's the president of the Board of Election for Washington County.
my thought process on the survey was, at least if we agree as a majority that the survey should go out, then what you're talking about, we have to discuss.
I'm just,
I mean, we also have, I mean, that would be the follow-up to an affirmative vote to have the survey sent.
right. I'm just telling you what we found out when we talked about it originally, before the zoning was ever, when we asked about it in the first part.
Yeah, there has to be some control factor on the information coming back.
Right.
I mean, there's,
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that. All right,
Well,
Jerry?
you could even keep, one thing you do there is you can open them here at a regular meeting. You can tally votes here.
Yeah.
But, right, now, well, yeah, you still have to have somebody that, once they come back, your point though is what, that if it's obviously the return of the survey, it should go untouched, unopened into a collection
Yeah,
box bag or whatever, and then,
counted at least.
but again, everything you're saying now is a valid comment.
Yeah, you need to get-
You
you
need to
gotta-
get off the floor.
You gotta get it off the floor. I'm just putting that out there though, because we did speak with Larry Spar.
Right. Well, and again, if we vote on this and we will have the survey done, then everything that's kind of floating around has to be discussed. All right, Jerry?
I'd say the same thing as Jerry and Bob, that why not?
Okay. And I likewise have to take a position, I agree that we need to send out a survey. All right, so with that in mind, I call for a vote then. We'll do it down the line individually, I guess, in this case. Tony?
Go for it.
Jody?
Yes.
God damn, I'm convinced.
Lee? All right, I vote in favor.
Yes.
Yes. Jerry, yes?
Yes.
That makes it unanimous.
All right, so we will do the survey, the single question with a yes or no answer. And the motion passes, so there were no negatives, so stands in as passed. The biggest issue, everybody's kind of bounced on little elements of it. It has to remain as a single question, yes.
Did you ever think about maybe, like, two of you guys, two of the supervisors, two members of the public, setting up a little committee to figure out the best way to handle it? That they could come up with a way that everybody would feel would be fair and the easiest way to get it out and get it back and to make sure that the votes are counted correctly? And maybe if you did a little sub-group, that maybe that might be, that their focus could do that.
When we spoke with Larry Spar, and Darren can correct me, because like I said, him and I went and spoke to him, he said they would be more than willing to help with it. They're the professionals.
Well, there you go.
Okay, now, he would help in what way?
The way he mentioned, it may be able to be put on the ballot, but I mean, we're talking a little close to the.
Yes,
A little too close to
that.
we
Yeah, they're
tried to
already
get it put
coded.
on the spring ballot, but we were shot down originally, in the primary. But he said, he even told us, he said it was very hard to put it on a national ballot because of the type of question it was. He said that the township could hold its own election, and they would be more than willing to help us. We didn't go any further because
Yeah,
we
we
wanted to present it first, but then we were shot down, so we didn't, because we were told it couldn't be done, but
What about some of
But we
us,
can have him
or all of
answer
us
by
setting
Friday.
up a meeting?
I could, yeah,
I think
Was there-
Well,
So what about-
Oh.
key one is it has to be as soon as possible. There has to be a date
yeah, no, we're
selected.
not, but if the Board of Elections is willing to help you, maybe maybe they even have a fund where they can, I mean, we'll pay for it as a group, but. Yes, they would have the addresses, they would have all the registered voters, they would know everybody that should get it, shouldn't get it. So-
When you don't just want to, like, Mr. Wilhelm, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
You need taxpayers
Yeah.
too, besides
Yeah.
residents.
Landowners, not just residents.
I said I think some of us, or all of us, should meet with Larry. See if he, I could call him tomorrow and see if we can set up a time.
My,
Or for
my
anybody that wants
absolute
to
number
go.
one concern is I want it done as soon as possible.
Yeah, okay, well, if I call him
And as
tomorrow.
simply as
so-
possible, and
That's pretty.
make sure we have legitimate responses.
I don't think he's there tonight.
I mean, one of the key.
He might be in the election.
Sending the questionnaire out is the simple part. The hard part is
Yeah, true.
how do we determine the proper response?
Yes.
Well, that's where he comes in, they can tell you the best way to do it.
That would be our best.
Maybe
bet.
instead of sending it back here, sending it to him or to,
Yeah, they may have it sent to them, and that way the collection point, there's nobody from the township even involved in it.
That makes it pretty neutral.
Yep.
You make contact.
I'm putting that on in the news.
Terry, do you have all of our phone numbers or email addresses?
Yes, well, yeah, I have, well, you know what, no, I probably don't have Bob and Judy's. I'll get them before they leave.
Okay, do we need a motion then on meeting with,
Do we need a motion for that?
Oh, yeah, motion for that. We're all agree.
They have Jerry pursue
All right. And then it's the Board of Elections.
So, okay, so the next question is, if she stops them tomorrow, and she set up a meeting on her own, are we available next week? Are we available when?
Well, we need a day or two notice.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Well,
So,
Well,
so
I'm
with
just
Jerry
guessing that, this week and
I
next.
was gonna
week
say,
is
he's a
pretty bad
little
in the
busy.
Election being on Tuesday, we may be a little busy.
We'll definitely have to be after the election, but still give Jerry some place to
Because it takes them a
go.
while to certify
Yes.
all the votes and,
I'll call him and just see if he has some
sometime in the
dates
next.
that are.
Try to get 2 or 3 dates from them that they're available.
Now, and this hopefully doesn't sound contradictory to what we just now said, but there's been a request come my direction, and I agree that I think it's a valid request that, because regardless, if it's voted one way or the other, we still need, I think, to be brought up to speed and know everything that was covered. We've been given a responsibility, and if we don't have the information, we're kind of in the dark. So, like a motion then that we have a training session, how many times have I said this? But in this case, a training session to cover the data that has been brought together from any source and all source in reference to the zoning planning that took place, it's over a year now? I mean, we've had meetings here, but there's data that's been gathered.
Reserve and proposal made, yeah.
So I would like a motion then that we have,
Or you made the motion.
pardon?
You're making-
Okay, I'll make the motion. I make a motion that we have a special training session. We're gonna have to pick a date, obviously, but we'll have a special training session, properly announced as technically be a meeting. So the special training session / meeting will be properly announced and all that. But I want a motion then that we have the special training to bring all of us up to speed on all the data that's been presented to the township on the zoning.
That's why I hear a motion of that.
Can you make a second? Well, I made a motion, you second it. Okay, any comments or questions?
Yes. I think now we've come up with that we're going to do the survey, and we're going to see what people feel. There's no sense setting up a training session where we'll have to pay the lawyers to come in and go over it. Until we get this vote, we're just stuck. Until we get this vote back in, yea or nay, we have no place else to proceed.
Okay, then that just delays it. I don't see the harm in us being informed and given information that at this point
Yeah,
we
but
don't
he's
have.
saying you have to pay an attorney.
Yeah, you have to pay that.
He's our fiscal watchdog here.
It has to be done through an attorney?
Yes, because that's the people who do the training. You have to have Carolyn come in and do the training.
Well, she's a planner. She's a planner, not an
That's
attorney.
poor planning. Just saying.
Yeah, it's just, it's a moot point having any training until we get this vote back.
Agreed.
It's just,
Well, if it's, okay, you're bringing all this money crap up. No one has said in the presentation, the comments, questions to me, that it was gonna cost, quote, anything for us to be informed.
yeah, it is.
Well, is there only one person that can present the information?
Well, either way, whether it is Carolyn or it's one of the other lawyers, whether it's Sweat or it's Joe Blow, it doesn't matter. The point is, those are the professionals, they're the ones coming in and doing
Okay,
it.
who's the reservoir of all this information?
Carolyn.
She's the planner from.
See,
Well, Lee Riddle, he's just been told he's-
He hasn't been in here.
Well, he wasn't the ones here when we originally.
He says you need the planner and the attorney.
According to the municipality planning code, says the township shall supply the planner, the engineers, the attorney, whatever,
Right.
the process. Regardless of how the vote comes in, you have a directive from the board to proceed with the plan. If you're not gonna proceed with the plan regardless of vote, then you need to decide that. And then that's okay, and you can do that.
Yes,
I talked to PA Southwest Legal Services. They are more than willing, they are a group of attorneys that are willing to take your zoning and talk to anybody about anything within the zoning. And I know that they're free, they're with the Southwest Legal Services. I mean, can't you send it off to them and ask them to go through it, answer questions? You
well, that's
know,
what I brought the whole thing up for, that's
Right.
what I wanna
There
know.
are people out there that will come in and help you guys as, you don't have to have an actual, like our attorney or whatever to go through it for training, but there are people out there that will help you learn about what's already been done. There's been tons of emails and everything that, you guys can read about and read the questions that have already been asked, and stuff. So I'm just asking, is there a way that you can contact a training on your own under the PA Legal Services? It's out there.
What was the name of the place you contacted?
It's PA Southwest Legal Services.
Okay, under the code of having this stuff have to be presented through a proper source, is something like that acceptable?
You probably can do a training seminar with anybody you wanna have to train you on generic zoning. If you wanna be specific about what's been created, you need to have the legal counsel from township and the engineering firm or the planning firm the township has hired.
You have to have somebody that's already associated with it or knows
The
what
township
to do.
designates that
Otherwise,
person if you're officially working on the plan.
Otherwise, we're reinventing the wheel.
But she's correct, you can get anybody you want to come in and train you on, if you want to have generic training, you can do that.
I would have to say this to that. These guys sent it to Washington to come back as a final proposal, I assume is what happened, right?
That's correct.
So I would say the people that you would be giving to it generically to would have the actual final proposal, and they are attorneys themselves. They probably have somebody that would understand the generically final proposal to say what you do have,
Yeah.
since it is a final
Yeah.
proposal. So
Well,
why would you?
it's not final, no, this point it's fine.
It's the one you guys went through, right?
Yes, it's not final at this point.
It's not passed.
Right.
But it would be the one you guys want to pass. So to me, that'd be what they put forth.
Go ahead.
When I talked to the lady at the Legal Services, she has already informed me that there are several items within our zoning that go against the federal law. She said she wishes that more townships would come to them prior to enacting zoning, because they're finding that a lot of the zoning laws go against federal. And she was more than willing and happy to take a look at ours already, and have all their attorney staff go over things as it complies with state and federal laws as well.
That's already paid for with our tax dollars.
Yeah, and they're.
And you're saying that those people already have it?
No, I'm saying that these guys sent up a final proposal already.
To,
So what they're saying to you guys about, that you'll just have a paper in front of you that's, like a generic deal, it is what they propose as a final proposal, as in this is what we'd be stuck with.
No, they got the opportunity to change anything.
They do,
Yeah.
but this was your guys' plan in the beginning, was how you was gonna pass it. So my idea is this, you have what they wanted. That's what I'm saying.
Have them look
I'm
at
saying
that.
if these lady, Tammy here said that you could send it to them without their involvement and see what is there and see what happens. I mean, if they're not against it, they're
Well,
not against
Going
it.
against the law.
Let's just say the comment was made by Tammy that there's indications that there's conflict of laws. We sure as heck need to know that kind of
If you
situation.
wanna fix all those, you can fix.
Exactly.
I certainly want to see what they come up with, Tammy, versus what Washington has already looked at and agreed with, you know,
Correct.
when our county's already accepted it.
Right,
All right,
and
so
that's
it comes-
what, and
go ahead.
when I talked to her, that's what she was saying, to me. She said there's a lot of nuisance ordinances out there that go against, there's certain things that the domestic violence that they're finding that the zoning ordinances for nuisance go against the federal law. She just was indicating to me, she wishes that a lot more towns, before they enact it, would come and seek that kind of advice to make sure it's correct before it is put in place, because what happens is later, then you're fighting it. You know what I mean? And we don't wanna go backwards. I think it just.
No, since this process is now in
Right.
motion, it gives a chance to address possibly issues like that.
Correct.
And it would, you're 100% correct. Makes far more sense to do it up front than later. All right, so it brings it back to then what I asked is, my thoughts were, regardless of how the survey turns out, if it can be done through suggestion like what Tammy said, I didn't think it would hurt us to be informed, even if it was taking place before the actual survey was complete, or the vote was back. But if, again, as a commission, we feel otherwise, and, you said something about not doing it ahead of time, as similar people here also felt. All right, I'll pick on you first. What's your thoughts on being informed? Not through, bringing our solicitor in or anything right now, but if we can arrange it through.
The free legal.
Southwest.
Southwest Legal Services.
Right.
Well, I don't, if we're willing to put time in to look at it and, and get up to speed